You know, when I had my first sort of idea for the painting, this painting, I thought, well, you know, it'd be kind of interesting, it'd be kind of fun. Let's do a knife painting. And then, as I said in the video earlier today, when I came down this morning, I saw a brush painting, so I'm going to do a brush painting. And you know, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to go back to the knife. That was my plan. So, here we go. While this brushwork underneath is wet, I'm going to jump right into it with the knife. And, you know, part of the problem is that I started to see, which I saw clearly before, but this morning did not, in my composition, I started to, with the brush, paint in some fairly hard shapes. I mean, right now it looks like a mountain range with some clouds in front of it. But all these hard shapes, and I wanted the painting to be very much about the sky, but the painting can still be about the sky. It just doesn't have to have extremely strong lines in the sky. The strength is going to be down here, and especially once I laid in, can you see this? Yeah, laid in the foreground here. I thought, yeah, I'm going to go back in here with the knife. I'm going to feather things down. The sky is going to be very important. It's just that it's not going to be so distracting from the foreground as, you know, I would if I had just gone through with the brush. I'm in the mood to sort of do something a little stronger, and that, for the moment, is what I'm going to pursue. So yeah, it's evening now, and it just, you know, kept bothering me when I looked at it. So I'm taking this knife, and with some zeal and some energy, I'm going to go over this sky, at least part of it. Well, okay, the part that I've already sort of brushed in, and I'm going to strengthen it. I like a strong painting, and it's so easy to lose that strength. And that's also why I'm standing up right now. I've had back problems recently. Back's pretty good today. So I'm going to just take advantage of that. And I'm going to stand up and work on this. And again, you know, hopefully end up with something decent. But I'm not going to, you know, this design that I drew in here. As you can see, it's very different than the last video already. I had taken the stuff out of the top because I felt there was too much going on way up here. You know, that kind of thing can certainly work well, even the way it is compositionally. But I wasn't that fond of it. Really, typically, if you're going to have a lot of sky, then have a lot of sky. But do it on a different format. Maybe do it on a you know, the painting could be maybe from here this way. But a squarer format works much better for that sort of thing. I have well, a panoramic-ish format. So I think what I'm going to do is, yes, the sky will occupy a lot of space. It'll be interesting. It'll be more colorful. And it will also be feathered, so you have no hard lines at all in the sky. The hard lines will begin to appear down here, distant horizon, and this side, and then they get harder down here to support all of that. So that's my complaint, my whining. And not only that, the knife is so much fun to use. You know, if you're in the mood to get cocky and vigorous, I can't do that down here where I have to carve in around things, but it's a fun tool for that sort of thing. Oh, got a question in the comments actually from somebody who said, why do I use oils to stain my paintings, to stain the canvas, instead of acrylics? Well, you know, the practical reason for that is that I don't paint in acrylics very often, so I don't have them kicking around. I know that they are free of fumes and that they dry very quickly. Well, they dry to the touch very quickly. But I have oils on hand. I like the way they look. They, to me, provide a more buttery look, even as a grounding for a painting over top. Acrylics are more opaque, even when you thin them off. They're just a different chemical makeup, and I don't know. I can't even give you a logical reason. I would like to say that oils have a proven workmanship record that's over 300, 400 years old. And acrylics haven't even been around for the purposes of painting for what's it been, 100 years or so? But that would be moot, because when you buy a prepared stretched cotton canvas, the gesso is acrylic. But there's a nice texture on there still, and I like to kind of maintain that texture. If I use oils and thin them off, I can thin the oil off so much that there's still a lot of tooth on the canvas. I find with acrylics, you have to water it down so much that I worry a little bit about the workmanship, about the bonding, the mechanical bonding, because I don't want to fill in between the warp and weft in those little divots too much. Anyway, really, the long and short of it is, it's what I've always done. I like it, works well for me. The fumes from the oil, yeah, that can be a bit of an issue. It can really stink up the studio. But hey, on the upside, I don't have to take meth because of that. It's a good substitute, a little bit of turpentine. Please, I'm kidding. Anyway, I'm scratching stuff around here, as you can see, and I'm not gonna, whoops, that was a little rich. I'm not gonna finish the sky tonight by any means, but I am getting rid of that whole notion of using a brush. That way, when I come down here tomorrow, even if I say to myself, boy, I should have used a brush, it's sort of a weak, impulsive thought. I won't do it because it would take quite a bit of work to bring the surface back that I've already painted with knife, to bring it back to be useful with a brush, or conducive to brushwork. So I'm going to, that's pretty much done. Okay, that's prepped now. It's fairly thin, the paint that I've just put on. So I'm going to now bring a little bit of light into the foreground on these clouds, because I still want, it's somewhat ethereal, but it's still going to be cloud shapes in the foreground as I work my way down. Nice blues, going to warm it up with warmer blues. I'll start to go probably with a little more alizarin crimson. I'll introduce some yellow ochres into it as I work my way down. I'm probably going to keep something of this in here with just some highlighting. First, I'm going to paint the entire sky with the knife. Once it's mostly covered, that's when I'm going to go in and start to muck around with my knife and bring it to life a little more. Anyway, the title of this video will be No, 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 No. My first inclination was to use a knife. In this case, I should have just stuck with it. Hope your weekend turns out well, or hope it is going well. See you soon.